author and poet Matthew Michael Collins. My latest book, Rotten Reality, is available on Amazon. So let's talk about the art of negotiation. Okay, life is pointless until you find your purpose. That's what Aleister Crowley meant with finding your true will, right? So, if you go into a negotiation, let's say you have 5 apples, and you know that all of those apples should be worth $1 a piece. You have your starting ground. You know what you want walking away from this deal. You know that if you don't get at least $1 an apple, that you're not going to be happy about it. But you also know that you don't need to rip anyone off. You just need to make your dollar. So that's what you try to do. Now, I can use all sorts of examples from movies, which I love to do because it's good to be able to relate to people, or sports, okay? You don't have to be a sports person, but I like to make an analogy so that someone that is a sports fan gets something out of it too. Let's take the trade that happened yesterday. Brady Tkachuk for 3 first-round draft picks and a second-round draft pick. Some people would think that's insane for either side, you know? But see, you put a value on something, just like you make whatever the purpose of life is to you. So you, like the movie Batman Begins, you don't want to give up a unaliving stroke for sure footing, because if you lose your footing, then you don't have balance and you can't swing a sword anymore. So it doesn't matter that you got into a good position because you can't do anything about it. So that's why in life, every time that you make a move, you gotta realize what your intention is, what your end game is, you know, and of course, as soon as you achieve that end game, it'll change, right? The line will move because you've evolved, you've gained something. Okay, so that's the most important thing. You've got to realize your intention. Is the next step that I'm taking going to move me closer to the finish line or farther from it? Now, this can come in handy whether you're literally selling an apple or trading a player in the NHL, or you're writing a story and you realize, okay, I've got to get from point A to point Z. And then you know there's, let's say, 26 steps because that's how many letters are in the English alphabet. So then you plot out your course, okay, for your novel. And you say, okay, point B doesn't really make sense because I just did this and I'm trying to get to Z, but B doesn't really move the ball forward. It just kind of went in circles. Not a good thing. To go in spirals is fine because you're evolving, and we always are. We don't stay in circles, but as long as you learn from your mistakes, they're worth making. So no matter what it is, if you're trying to start a relationship with your child that you haven't seen in 20 years, or with a new lady, man, whatever, then you realize what you want, what you're not willing to budge on, etc., and you go from there. It doesn't mean you can't change your mind. All of a sudden, okay, well, wait, they have this to offer, and I wasn't expecting that, so it's actually, to me, worth the trade. As long as you sit there and realize what your end game is, your intention is, your purpose is, and then if it happens to suit you better, wow, maybe you end up trading those 5 apples for 5 oranges, and wherever you come from, oranges are a treat, or to you they are, even though to other people they might not be. Then maybe you want to look at the price of oranges in that place and say, oh, I see, they're trying to rip me off. Those oranges are actually only worth 50 cents compared to my apples that are $1. Or maybe they're a traveler and they come from somewhere far away, and that wouldn't be worth it to you to make that travel to go get those oranges. So then you do make the deal. And to the person you're making the deal with, it makes sense because perhaps where they're from, apples are quite expensive or unattainable. Anyways, there's some things to keep in mind whenever you're doing anything. And I just had a conversation with someone on Twitter that was really awesome, and they subscribed to my channel, and I really appreciate it. And they were just telling me, you know what? I appreciate how genuine you are. You're not trying to be ridiculous, like most YouTubers are. Overemphasizing, you know, and we play a role no matter who we're talking to. But that doesn't mean you can't be your genuine self. And I think a lot of people are realizing that's the ticket. That's why dating apps aren't doing as well, because everyone's trying to sell BS. And trick you instead of just being your genuine self. And that's what really it's all about. Finding your life's purpose and moving one step closer at a time. Because like it said in the movie Gran Torino, a man doesn't acquire all these tools all at once, but over his whole life. And then it becomes possible instead of completely impossible, unless of course you won the lotto or something like that. Good luck to you on that. However, that's a long shot. It's fine to play a long shot with your extra money maybe, or you could save it. But you want to have a realistic goal too, that you don't mess with, money that you don't touch because you know it's for XYZ, moving you towards your goal, and you get a little closer and a little closer all the time, and it pays off in dividends. It becomes abundantly clear that you're moving to get toward getting what you want. Perfect. Now you feel successful because you didn't give away what you didn't want to, or you made what you consider to be a fair trade. And how did you do that? You observed what the right price for those apples were, for an example. How do you like those apples? And then you decided to either trade for the oranges or get your $1 a piece that you set out for, and you said clearly before you even left for that morning that they are worth $1 a piece. Maybe it's a bad day and you only get 95 cents, and that ends up being a real good bargain because tomorrow they're only worth 85 cents. Playing the market's a weird thing, my friends. Life is a beautiful gift. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell. And again, my name is Matthew Michael Collins. My book, Rot in Reality, WROUGHT, rot as in crafted something, rot in reality, and it is a kenning, a double meaning, because everything rots, and what rots will renew. So anyways, if you want to check out my book, it's Norse poetry, like Viking poetry, and it's very contemplative. It's the kind of poetry that you got to read a few times and think about what I actually mean, because every sentence has a double meaning. It makes you think, and I hope that the world becomes better for it. I've had some awesome comments, and I mightily appreciate it, and that makes me feel like I'm fulfilling my goals in life. So, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Have a good week.